Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Monday the 21st of August. So let's have a look at the risk events coming up for today. In fact, there's nothing much today. In fact, the key factors we've got coming ahead are really so there you go, it's Monday. What's really coming along is this Friday's Jackson Hole Summit, where we'll hear from Fed Chair Powell. That's the main one. The other data is Wednesday. Most of the day there, 8:15 through to 2:45. The PMI data coming through from Europe, the UK, and the US. So key data there. Aside of that, it's quite a quietish week, and it could be quiet leading into Friday anyway. With this speaking, traders are really hanging on. Whether we have got a Harker speaking there on Thursday, traders hanging on to see whether there's any hawkishness in the speeches coming from the Fed members. Right, there's an expectation at the moment that rates will be left untouched for the US in September, but we'll see. Anyway, so nothing today, very little tomorrow, but be expecting a quieter week, believe it or not. And of course, we're well into the summer holidays now, so there's a lot of people will be away. Traders, they have holidays too. So let's go through the markets. Euro dollar, from a daily perspective, it's still very much to the downside here at the moment, and that's what I'm really looking at. Would be very nice if we'd seen a blip into the weekly pivot. We're just slightly short of it at the moment. I would wait anyway, because coming down to the daily pivot hourly chart, I'd want to see a break below the daily pivot here. So I am just putting an alert on that level, but we'll be looking for the sell point below there, heading down towards the S1 again. Now, with the way the markets are today, it could be this afternoon before that even kicks off, but we'll see. If it bounces up first, I'm not touching it, but I will look at it into the weekly once it's done it. Okay, so the pound. Pound is much more choppy, more difficult to get a feel for. It's coming off a little bit at the moment. It's a mess. It's above its weekly pivot actually. Again, really to be looking for shorts, I'd prefer to see it below its weekly pivot with the trend that's in there, but it is range bound. You can see ignoring the spike there, you can see the range that it's been sitting through over the last couple of weeks, and well, as chances are it could be just coming back to the bottom of that range. So not in a good place for it at the moment. US dollar yen, we're seeing a bit of a continuation by the looks of things here. It's just into its pivot at the moment, the weekly pivot, so I'd watch this carefully. But if it gets above and closes above, and really have to wait on these 4 hourly bars. Would prefer to see this. It's set to close at 10 o'clock UTC time, so I would wait for that to happen first, but it has been given slow highs, low lows through last week, so just wary of it. There is the option if it starts failing over and breaks this sort of level. I'll put an alert on that. In fact, I'll put an alert on it now. There you go. So I've got an alert on that. So if it starts breaking down this level, there's a chance it could continue down. But if other markets are getting soft, this one should be getting soft generally as well. Although if risk is off, traders tend to head towards the yen a bit more. But it's at a cost, of course, when they start buying the yen and selling the other currencies. As much as it's safety, we've got to just remember that the interest rate difference is quite huge. In some cases now 4 or 5%, 4.5%, somewhere in that region. A lot of the majors 4%, even 3.5%. It's a big difference. It makes it less attractive, and the Swissy less attractive as defense, and they'll maybe just held shorter time wise. Okay, Aussie dollar. The Aussie dollar, it's still in this downward trend here. I talked about in the video over the weekend that I did. To me, I'm just waiting for a continued breakdown. Really, it would have been again nice to have seen it hit the weekly pivot. If it goes and doesn't come back to that, fine. There could be a bit of a swing on down towards the weekly S1. It's not very far really. Got to be a little bit careful with some of these. They are starting to go a bit sideward now. That could be just consolidation before we see a continuation. But just be aware that it could take time. You've got to have a bit of patience when looking for these. The Canadian dollar is inverted, of course. US dollar, CAD. So we're looking at this US dollar strength to continue. Again, similar-ish picture to the Aussie there. Would prefer to see the weekly pivot hit first. We're below the daily at the moment. But it might just carry on. Iffy old week last week, the way it moved there. It's just a bit flatter, a bit slower than some of the other markets. I think the other markets are probably better to be trading largely. New Zealand dollar, US dollar, same as the Aussie dollar effectively. We're seeing this strong downtrend on the dailies. The 4 hourly here, 4 hourly bars solidly down. We've again missed out that weekly pivot at the moment, but we have already hit the daily and the S1. The pivots are quite pinched down here. Okay, right. That's New Zealand. Swiss is quite flat. There's no. I'll just show you it on here. It's again, it's a relatively flat market at the moment. Trying its best to continue to the upside, and my preference would be to get into a long on the upside, but I'm just being patient at the moment. Euro yen. Are we going to see a continuation of the upside there? It needs to be above the weekly pivot for me to be really interested in this, but it might set something up here. Yeah, just patience on that. It's been pushing up, the trend strongly up. Retail traders are bearish on it, holding shorts. Bigger money's been more popular for the euro than the yen. Okay, euro pound. This is just testing my patience, this one. Okay, so still sitting in there. It's Friday we saw it continue its sell-off, but again we popped up a bit overnight here through the Asian session. Just slow again. It's really mirroring a lot of the other markets there. It's just at that point we had the sort of slightly faster downward trend, and then we've seen this sort of choppier markets. It just could be what we see through this week. As I say, with the Jackson Hole Summit coming up later in the week. Euro Aussie, Euro CAD, these are both pretty flat and ugly, not really going anywhere. Same as the pound Aussie and the pound CAD. They're all rather flat and not really showing too much at the moment. So a little bit limited there. As I said, we're probably at the majors there. If the Euro cracks, starts rolling, I think some of the better opportunities are up on the majors. Right, okay, let's just switch markets here. Quick look through the indices and run through, look at gold first before the indices. Daily perspective again. Retail traders are buying this like there's no tomorrow. Look what's happening with the market. It's selling. It's just, for me, there's only one way on this market, and that's to sell at the moment. Yes, of course it's going to turn at some stage. It's gold, but why do we want to be catching knives? So there's gold still heading southbound. Oil, on the other hand, it's got a bit of a skip going on in its step again. It had broken the original trend that was coming up here, but I was expecting at some point for it to turn back a bit more bullish. It's put a higher low in on the 4 hourlies. It's broken its 4 hourly downward trend there. Looking a bit more positive now. Maybe later today we'll see a little bit more to the upside here. Already hit the R1, a breakthrough the R1's a little bit more possible now, as it hasn't hit the pivot, so we've got about a 75% chance of it running towards its R2 at some stage. That with everything else that's gone on there, there's change of structure, the higher lows coming through, and the fundamentals all point a little bit more towards the upside there. Equity markets, CSI 300 continue now to sell off a little bit more aggressively. I mean, say a bit more aggressively. It has over the last week or two been coming off quite aggressively, and it's broken those lows now. So looking softer, and the Nikkei following suit really. It's showing it as a little bit. It's up a fraction there, but really lower highs. To me, it's done on the upside at the moment. The Nifty 50 likewise catching a little bit of a bounce. My preference is to continue looking for the short sides, believe it or not, even though this has been in a strong up market. We'll see. It's been putting the lower highs in. Looks soft. It would look a bit more convincing the break of Friday's lows there. Aussie 200. Again, market is just selling and looking soft, and to me, again, I think we've got further downside in most of these equity markets. I think we've got further downside. There's a whole combination of factors all coming against them at the moment. Lower highs here, higher interest rates don't help equity markets ever. We might see some relief rallies come Friday if there's a very dovish sort of stance taken, but if it's still aggressive, it's not good for these equity markets. Just looking at 4 hourly here, so you see, yep, it's put in a bit of support here, but I think we'll just see a continuation to the downside. NASDAQ lower highs. I think we could have a bigger correction going yet. The DAX, again, we've double bottomed here, so there'll be a lot of people focusing on that double bottom, but overall you see the lower highs, lower lows. Structurally we haven't changed on the 4 hourly pitch there. A break below the daily pivot there, might see, again, it's a bit like the euro dollar really, isn't it? Might see the move down towards the S1 at some stage. The FTSE, same sort of picture here on the hourly picture. Daily's really looking bearish. We've done a triple bottom, and it's coming back down towards dropping back down again. I think we'll just see further downside here. Large holdings, large companies, commodity type companies within the FTSE 100. If they're being sold, then we'll see the knock-on effect on the equity markets as well. Okay, finally the crypto world, the world of the no intrinsic value. FTSE, the Bitcoin first, well, barely moved over the weekend, still looking very soft. Really not looking particularly good, any of these markets. Ethereum, same old, holding up, consolidating, not actually consolidating around their lows, so there is a scope. A bit more flaggy on Litecoin here, that's a bit more bearish maybe, but when we see this these markets consolidating away from the absolute low, there is scope that at some stage they might bounce, but the way all these things are shaped up on to me, I can only be bearish. There we go, I'll remain on that tune. I wish you a great day's trading, and I'll catch you in the morning, same time, same place. Bye for now.